Hello to all of our subscribers across the globe. Welcome to our midweek service live audio stream from the tent of his meeting in Blantyre. Thank you for joining us as part of our digital church. May God bless you for joining us in this service. We hope you will be blessed through this broadcast as you partake from the grace of the house. Our audio feed will be starting in a moment. Stay tuned. Hello to all of our subscribers across the globe. Welcome to our midweek service live audio stream from the tent of his meeting in Blantyre. Thank you for joining us as part of our digital church. May God bless you for joining us in this service. We hope you will be blessed through this broadcast as you partake from the grace of the house. Our audio feed will be starting in a moment. Stay tuned.
Because it's very important. It's this time around where we are making plans. And you know so there are times when we have done this, possibly for many, many years, to the point that when we are making plans, we just light what comes into our head. Because from the experience, not everything that we light comes to pass. So we present everything to God, expecting that possibly 2 from 10 are going to come to pass. 3 from 12 are going to come to pass. So we just write them like that. And that's a big, big mistake that you can do with God. Because you must understand the way God works with man. If you have no interest in something, God will never bring it to pass in your life. He will never bother you the things that you are not bothered. If that is not what you are looking for, God will never make sure that it's within your reach. There is a cooperation between man and God. And that much you have to know. The things that can happen to you are the things that you have cooperated with him. You have joined with him and accepted. And that's the reason why you find out most of the times when God is doing things, he has to put his desires in you. The reason why he has to put his desires in you, because he knows without you cooperating, without you, or without his desires becoming your desire, there won't be cooperation. So he will put a need in you. He will put a need in you. Give me Philippians so that we look at this. It's going to help us before I show you what I want. Philippians chapter 2. We looked at this, but these are very important things that we need to be revisiting so that we are reminding one another. Amen? Chapter 2, we look at verse 11 and 12, 13. And he says, and that every tongue should confess that the Jesus, okay, go down. He says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence, only but now much more in my absence. He says, work out your own salvation. 2 days ago, a day ago, I think it should be 2 days ago, I told you that God works with your spirit. God works with your spirit. God is a spirit. And the things that we are dealing with now are spiritual in nature. So when he's working with you, he works up to your spirit. It's very, very important. I'll come back to this one, but sometimes when I just, talk and comment, you don't know where we are taking these things. Go to Proverbs chapter 20, verse 27. He says, the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. The spirit of man is a candle of the Lord. Is a candle rather of the Lord. In other words, If God sees anything in you, he sees your spirit. That's what is presented to him. Is a candle of the Lord, the spirit of a man, the human spirit. God being a spirit works what he sees in you. So if he wants to define you, if he wants to do anything else, he goes to your spirit. He goes to your spirit. This is how it works. If, let's say for example, God, you are crying for money. You are crying to prosper. Do you know how God is going to give you money? Because it's very important. It's easier to ask God for something and never know how that which you're asking will be delivered to you. And sometimes you're going to say, God, I want this, I want this. And you continue asking him for something that God has already delivered. Because you don't know the packages of God. How God packages his things. He does it spiritually. He does it spiritually. Does it mean he doesn't do it in the physical? He does it too. But he works it from your spirit. So here's how he will do it. I'm crying for money. Two things will happen. Two things will happen. Number one, God will make sure that he enriches my spirit. We call it spiritual empowerment. So he will enrich your spirit. He will empower your spirit to be prosperous. So you can now do prosperous things from a prosperous spirit. That's how God will do it. He will empower your spirit, enrich your spirit. And then you can do prosperous things through your spirit. You get it? So from nowhere, you have ideas. You have ideas that can bring money to you. Whatever you want. I mean, you're not that person that is blocked inside of your spirit. You just know what you can do with your life. Secondly, there are things still under the empowerment. There are things, that's what the Bible says. It says, for it is God who gives us what? Power. To get what? To get wealth. He doesn't give you wealth. He gives you power. Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 18. Okay? He doesn't give you wealth. He gives you the power. So he gives you the power, and by the power that he gives to you, now you're able to get wealth. Don't forget about how God works. You may be chasing for money when what you are looking for has already been delivered and is right in your spirit. And I want you to see that. You may be chasing for money, but money has already been delivered. It's right in your spirit. It's the power inside of you. So I said, number one, under this empowerment, it may be ideas. Not ideas, but he may prosper your spirit, so that by the prosperity of your spirit, you can live and function and walk as a prosperous man. Just as you all know that the thinking of a prosperous man is different from a person who is poor. When he enriches your spirit, your thinking changes. You carry your life in a different way. That's how it happens. I was just talking to one of the pastors here. I said, Malawi is in two worlds. There is one world in Malawi, which is a third world. And that world is very poor. If you are living in that world, you don't see opportunities here. You struggle. You live by paycheck. Sometimes struggling at all. To you, Malawi is very tight. Very hard. Once you break free from that Malawi, you break through from that Malawi, you live in a different Malawi. That Malawi is Malawi that you see every time you take a flight from South Africa, you're coming here. You see the number of white people that are coming to Malawi. And ask you how many of them are tourists. And ask you how many are investors. You realize there is another Malawi that every rainy season like this one, there are people that are planning for billions. There is another Malawi where you can't have that opportunity. You can't dream a billion at all. But there is another Malawi. I met a man, he's from Burundi. He's moving rice from here to South Africa. Last year, he sold rice over 800 million. But there is another Malawi where you grow 10 bags of rice and you sell 6 and you use 2. We all live in a different worlds. In the very same place where people are struggling, some are making billions. It's simply the only thing that you need to cry to God, how can I break free from this Malawi? There is an, okay, I went to UK. Some of you are looking, because if you're living in that under Malawi, you look for greener pasture outside. But there is another Malawi that when you get outside, you can see you have lost it. You can do very well here than any other place. Come on, we met Elizabeth. When we met Elizabeth, you know Elizabeth, our sister? When we met her in December, she says, Papa, after my master's, I'm coming. I said, you don't want to stay here? Look at life. Look at life. There's a KFCs everywhere. McDonald's everywhere. And everyone can afford it to eat KFC. Look at home. You have to budget to go and get KFC. He says, no. With what you have been teaching us, for me to stay here, I have just done injustice to everything I have known. And it made my destiny so small. In Malawi, the opportunities are many. The ladder is very high. Here, you just need a mortgage and eat KFC. That's all. Whilst in Malawi, I'll be pushing myself to be one of the millionaires. I'll be pushing to be one of the billionaires. Here, no. I can't say I will own a farm here. I can't say, okay, I'm going to start, raising cattle, rearing cattle here. I can't. I can't say I'm going to grow Indian hemp here. Not for the wrong reasons, but for the right reasons. It says, I can't here. It's simply looking for a mortgage from the bank, and I own a house. That is all. Yeah. And I have a car outside. So, but this Malawi that I'm talking about, where somebody can see the opportunities, it's not Malawi where main majority are. What God, when He wants to prosper you, He breaks this covering, this hindrance in you, to the point that this uncover, it's like He break it free for you, so that you can see all the vast opportunities. Many opportunities. From that time, prosperity is different, because there are those who are chasing for money. You realize a real prosperous a prosperous person doesn't chase for money. Yes. He chases for possibilities. Yes. He chases for ideas. He has got an idea that he wants to implement. Yes. And he uses money as a way of implementing, of funding the idea. Yes. You find so many people says, do you want to prosper? Yes. How do you want to prosper? No, I just want money. He's still at a kindergarten, elemental stage, where he thinks if he has got money, he's prosperous. At a certain level, it's not about the cash you have. It's what you want to do. So when the cash comes, it funds you. Money answers all things to you. To you is an answer. You have got something that you want. You have got questions, but money should come to answer that question for your life. Not I'm chasing money. I want this year to make 1 million. For what? 1 million for what? You are troubled with so many ideas. I can invest in farming. This year, we can do A, B, C, D. Just think about it. I learned about how it's done. They do it in this way. Which means if I can put 10 million today, by the end of this season, I'll be around 100-something million. Then we can grow big and take over Malawi and possibly start selling in Zimbabwe. Imagine I'm supplying, I'll be the one supplying this product in SADC region. You're looking in terms of taking over. You're looking at how your product can spread. You can grow the market, expand it into other countries. But if you're still at the bottom, you want money. So we live in this world. And what God does, He empowers and He enriches your spirit. This thinking, you can't think in this way if you're poor. You can't think in this way if you're poor. And when I say you're poor, I'm not trying to say you've got money in your bank account. I mean if your spirit is not rich. If your spirit is poor, you are thinking, your mind is blocked. Then there is the second side of empowerment of God. Empowerment of God, which I know many of you like it. Many of you like this other side. You don't like this first side I've told you. You like the second side. The second side is when now you are empowered in terms like favored. Like, for example, kutola ndrama. You're doing our gwesa. You're not going to work for it. You don't have ideas. Kuti ungapangijana. Koma ndrama mango zipeza. Antu ama gwesa iwe nkumatola. You see? It's another favor where you want when you go to a place and drama. It's not like you want to work for it, but it's a blessing. Oh God, bless me, bless me. And when you say bless me, you want things just to come and fall on your path of life. They should just come there. See when these kind of points are shared in the church, how everybody shouts. You're going to find it this week. Oh, cars will come to you. Oh, yes. They don't want to get the cars. They want cars just to come. Yeah, that's how they want it. But that's not an excellent way. He says, let me show you, but an excellent way. Excellent way is to be empowered to get cars. Not that cars should come to you. Excellent ways when you are empowered to go and get what you want. Not that somebody should drop it and then you find it somewhere on the way. It will happen. Because that's how God dealt with the children of Israel. He gave them manna. They could just wake up in the morning and find manna is outside. No need of doing anything. But when they got to Canaan, God says, this is not my excellent way. I will bless the land. And the one who wants to prosper now has to carry a hoe and get to the land and get what he wants. I will empower you with ideas. You will change the same desert. And become one of the biggest exporters, agricultural product exporters. Yet you are coming from desert. You will change your land. That's an excellent way. So if you're looking for manna, you're stuck. God will give it to you, but it will end one day. That's the other side of empowerment. But he does all these things to a spirit. He does all these things to a spirit. And then when you are looking for something from him, as rather if you're crying and crying to him, he gives to you in your spirit. And very, very important now is to know what God is doing with your spirit. Because if you don't know what the Lord is doing with your spirit, you will never be confident to know now how to walk in this life. But if you know that I'm rich now, I have something in my spirit, this is what the Lord has done to me, you're confident to start taking steps. Okay. I wanted you to see this. Go back to Philippians. Are you being assisted? Yes. All right. He says, now what do you do? He's asking you, work out. Work out. Out from what? It's out from what I've done in your spirit. I've done something in your spirit. Now your responsibility is to know what is in your spirit and work it out. It says your own salvation. This is now your own salvation, not the salvation that Jesus gave it to you. You are working now your own salvation from what Jesus has done to your life by working out the things that God has done to your spirit. Now, if you're not a spiritual man, this is where you stop. After you have done all, because you are not a spiritual person, this is where you stop. Mind you, all the men in the Bible that God prospered, one quality of their lives was that they were spiritual men. By spiritual men, I'm talking, because some of you talk about Solomon. Do you know how Solomon got his wisdom? Words. And words in a dream. But when he woke up, he wrote it. Told everybody, God has met me and he has given me wisdom in a dream. You need to be spiritual, because many of us, we dream and we think we have just dreamt. You have to be a spiritual man that you can establish the dream to be a reality of your life. It was a dream that God spoke to him, but he wrote it. That everybody should know that God has given me wisdom. I had a conversation with God. Abraham needed to hear God speaking. It takes a man who is spiritual to hear God. Get out of your country. Follow me. Isaac needed to hear the voice of the Spirit. Stay in Gerar. Don't move from there. If you're not spiritual, you are stuck. Because everything else that God will do will be spiritual in nature. Denga tuzimu akuli what suziwa fresh, so many, too much fresh in you. God will do so much and you will never know what God is doing. You will push, you will keep and trouble yourself for the things that God has already delivered it to your life. But just because you are not spiritual enough. And that's why we love in this place to pray and fast. Because one of the ways in order to deal with the flesh is fasting. In simugona ban panobo no send in the fast. No send no fast bali bolongolola pano ya. Kulongolola tu ndi kukuta. So imagine if this is your life like every day, you will change yourself. You go to a working place and you're just quiet. Yes. To the point you get used now not to talk. Bastard the silence in the flesh. That's how it happens. Yeah. 13. Give me 13. It says, for it is God which worketh in what? In what? Does he work out? No. God doesn't work out. God simply works in. He works in, you work out. Don't forget it. He works in. In what? In the Spirit. And when he has worked. So these are things you are minded. You're mindful of that. When you're praying, when you're doing things, when you come to the service like this, you come with an open spirit for God to write them down. To write them down. When you're hearing them, you make sure they don't remain in your mind. They are written in your spirit. Because it will matter with what God is, or rather, it will matter with what is in your spirit. Not just what you have heard. I told you, if you leave the word on a surface, the devil has no problem to take it away from you. The only safety place is your spirit. That's what the Bible, Jesus said. The seeds that fell on the surface is because they didn't understand. So you go back home, you pray and say, Lord, I'm going to study what the apostle was teaching today. I'm going to study this topic that he has been teaching us. Because otherwise I haven't gotten anything. And then you cry to God, and then you start looking at the notes. From nowhere, light shines on your heart to give you the light of the glory of the scripture. And then from nowhere you jump by yourself because you've gotten the light. That word is buried in your spirit. Is written in your spirit. That is the word that you can use. Not the word that is in your mind. It's the word that you can use. Not the word that you have held. It's the word that is planted in your spirit. Okay, let me take to these verses. Okay? Let me take these two verses and show you. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Somebody is being blessed today. And your life will never be the same after this. Oh yes, I'm telling you. Are you there? Okay. He says, do we begin again to commend ourselves, or need we, as some others, epistles of commendation to you, or letters of commendation from you? Go down. Ye are our epistles. In other words, he's looking at people and he's calling them, you are our letters. We don't need anyone to write a letter to us. You are our letters. And says, you are our epistles, written in our hearts. Now, one time I took time to look at that, because those words are important. You are an epistle written in my heart. In other words, if you want to know what is written in my heart, look at yourself. Because I have transferred my heart to you. That's what he's trying to say. You are the epistle written not in your heart, but in my heart. In other words, what is hidden